No, when I'll keep crying until somebody noticed that I'm crying.
How do you feel when you don't get to tell anybody that you're sad? How does that feel?
I feel like I'm gonna cry and then stay in there for the rest of the day.
Stay in where?
Where I felt sad.
Oh, okay. You just want to stay in that spot?
Yes. Okay. I just get sad sometimes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I would say I've only been experiencing it for like 8 years probably doing this work, and I would say I don't know that it's getting worse, but it's definitely not getting better.
I would say something that is affecting it is the social media world in this generation, and I think that's a really big difference compared to at least my generation when I was in high school, and the way that it does affect the mental health of students.
Social media, electronic social media has played a lot into it, particularly in the past 10 years or so.
Everything that I've seen says that it's gotten worse. I know we've all heard this before, but with social media, I think that really has increased, definitely adolescent and even children's, levels of depression and anxiety as well.
I think acknowledging it is so important, because what people don't realize is that mental health is like physical health. If you have something wrong, something small maybe, not something normal, like you sprain your ankle, and then you decide you're just gonna ignore it and you're not gonna tell anyone, and you're gonna have to walk around every day as if nothing's wrong, obviously it's gonna get worse, and that's just normal. And so mental health should be treated the same as any kind of health. That, of course, if we ignore it and expect people just to do everything the same as they would have, they're not going to be able to get better. But some things are small, and if people got the support they needed right away when they were young, when it was small, lots of times it wouldn't become as big of a problem.
I think getting a jump start on seeking out some type of therapy or whatever, having a way of kind of combating that from an early time is really helpful, because it's kind of the longer that you feel depressed or anxious or angry or whatever without really addressing it with other people, it's just going to kind of manifest itself worse and worse as you get older. So I would say so, yeah.
I worked in the community for 25 years, and one of the things that needed and still needs to be stressed in our community is that mental illness needs to be looked at the same way as if somebody has diabetes or high blood pressure.
Definitely. I think something that we're really lacking in our education system right now is not necessarily mental. I wouldn't call it mental health at a really young age, like in elementary school. I would just call it self-awareness and mental awareness. So just being able to identify your feelings. I think we don't teach that really, and it's so important, to even just being mindful and aware of what we're feeling in a certain moment with family and whatnot, and understanding what makes us angry and what makes us sad and what makes us happy. So I think it's really important at a young age to start teaching kids how to just identify and label their emotions.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we definitely need to make it more known to children in a easy and positive way to them, but also educate them on the different things that they could be experiencing. And I think it would really help them, especially going into their teen years, understanding the different things that can come up and stressors that could affect their mental health and could make them develop certain behaviors or ways of thinking that might be damaging to them.
If you have qualified and caring counseling staff, that makes a difference. People who are going to take the time to establish a rapport with students, that are not going to be judgmental. If something happens one day as a teacher or a counselor, it's really important you don't hold that against the student the next day and take things personal, that you're a professional. So if we have people who are professionals who are really caring and concerned. Develop a generation of young people who are not afraid to address it and get help.
One of the reasons I'm here is to help with mental health, so that's something that they're doing, which is having more, mental health workers in the schools. But I do think that, I'm not here every day, and I wish that I was able to be, so I think having more, trained mental health professionals in schools is really helpful.
I'm saying that they should take all the funding that goes to hiring school safety officers, and maybe not all of it, but like 80%, and switch it over to counselors, and I think they could see a lot less fights that way.
What we need is an open place or places where people can go and where trust can be established so people can get the help that they need and there's not shame placed upon
I
it.
think making sure that every school has, some type of mental health expert, like a licensed clinical social worker, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, substance abuse counselors, physicians in one school. Like, when I went to high school, all we had was a substance abuse counselor, and I saw a lot of people who were like depressed, anxious, whatever. They didn't really get the support that they needed because the only real mental health expert at school was a substance abuse counselor.
I also think that a lot of problems could be solved by actually solving the problems rather than safety officers are there to clean up the mess.
They prepared for the problem.
Right.
Instead of reducing it.
Yeah, exactly. They're there because there will be problems. Let's envision a world where there are not the problems in the first place.
The more you really, you just try to hide what you're feeling, the worse things are gonna get,
Some people are very open, but I think it's definitely hard to be vulnerable sometimes and say, be confrontational and share your emotions and say, if I had a problem with you and you're my best friend, and be hey, you've been really making me feel, not really great these past few weeks. And I think that's really hard as opposed to just hiding. I personally feel so relieved when I talk to someone who understands what I'm going through. Feels like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders. Yeah.
When you don't tell somebody about your sadness, how does that make you feel?
Sad.
Sad?
I'll just keep on crying until they notice.
So when somebody's bothering me, I always feel bad. So I want to tell anybody that's a grown-up that's around, and let them know that somebody's bothering me.
Oh, okay.